to another episode of Musings podcast. I'm your host, Gungo Mildred, and I'm so happy that you're joining me today again. For those people who have already subscribed, thank you. For those who haven't, please consider subscribing. But either way, I'm just so grateful that you're here listening to me again. So, on today's episode, I'm going to talk about another character of mine, overthinking. So, on last Saturday's episode, I spoke about me being an introvert and what that means to me, And on today's one, I'm going to speak about me being an overthinker and what that does to me. And maybe I won't do like a pros and cons list, but just you listen and decide if there are any pros or any cons in it, because hey, it's not easy. So I don't know if you're like me and if you ever have any overthinking moments, things that happened years ago, but you still think about them and mull over them and just, like go crazy trying to understand what happened. And, some things are forgotten, but there are these ones that I'm constantly battling nowadays. So, because it usually goes like the most recent, and then maybe sometimes my mind will hit me with something that happened when I was a child. So, when I was a kid, there's something I think I did to another kid that hurt them. I'm not so sure if it really happened. If it did, God forgive me, because it's a bad thing. But if it didn't, I hope that it gets out of my head. But sometimes I feel like it did happen, because why am I thinking about it so much, But either way, that makes me cry sometimes, because it was a nasty thing. I didn't mean it. I was a child. I didn't even know what I was doing. But because I remember it like it happened yesterday, or, I feel like I remember that scenario, whether it was real or fake. Maybe it was just a dream I had and it stuck with me. I don't know. But yeah, I'm constantly thinking about that moment. I pray to God for forgiveness. I tend to ask the person for forgiveness and they're not here. I don't even know if they're alive or they died. Such kinds of things. Like, it just goes over my head over and over again, and it plays again over and over again. And I don't like it, but I have no control over it. I could be asleep and then I just think about it. Out of nowhere, it just comes out of nowhere. And then I pray and I cry, because, yeah, that's life. Another thing that I overthink about. So, back in 2022, I want to say, yeah. So I went to the village, and then my grandmother was going to her late sister's memorial in Maragoli. So she asked me to go with her. We went. So while we were there, I met some relatives I hadn't seen for years. I think since I was a baby. That was the last time I had seen them. But this time, it had been years before, since I had seen them last time. So we reintroduced ourselves. We were talking, blah, blah, blah. The memorial went well. We spent the night over there. The next day, while we were about to leave, so there's this one aunt of mine. She's married into our family. And so she's married to my grandmother's nephew. And so people were telling goodbyes and people were hugging, nini nini. I was standing towards the end of that room where some bags were and stuff like that. And so she comes towards me with her arms open wide. So I'm like, is she coming in for a hug? Or what is happening? So, because I don't want to be that person who will just stand still if she's coming in for a hug. So I don't want it to be awkward and stuff. So I hug her. I just go like, hi, bye. And she goes like, bye. She even taps my back. And then we go to live with my grandma. But then that thing starts playing in my mind and replaying in my mind. That moment, even up to today, there are times I'll be just sitting minding my own business and my mind goes back there. And I'm like, was she coming in for a hug, or was she coming to take something from behind me? Because after she hugged me, she went into the bags that were behind me. So that is something I'm constantly, thinking about. I'm like, why? What was happening? And if it wasn't for the hug that she was coming towards me, then must have been a very awkward moment for her. Because after I left, she must have gone like, hey, msichana, hata tujuani hivyo lakini amenipea hug or something, Because it must have been weird. Like, what did she go and tell her daughters? Because I know she's close to them. Like, what conversations did she have with the people who were behind, who we left behind after we left? Because it was crazy. I still think about that moment up to today, and it scares me sometimes. Like, it's just a terrible, terrible thing. It was a mix-up, or it was exactly what was supposed to happen. Either way, I shouldn't be thinking about it as much as I do. But yeah, that was a moment that constantly comes back to my mind. The third one will be like just this year in August. I went to the village to visit my grandmother, and then when I came back, I was tired. And I was hungry, so I got into this shop to buy something that I could get into the house with. And while I was waiting for the shopkeeper to get it ready for me, there was this guy who was, I think, selling to her like some, are they called earpods or AirPods? Earpods, those ones. Like, you get what I mean, yeah? So the case they were in, they're exactly like the ones that I have. So he was going like, the lady was like checking them out, and then she hands them over to him when she goes to take care of what I've ordered. And then he's like, she goes like, how do you open them? And the guy is just fidgeting with the thing, you know, the plastic like container, that the charging pod. So he's just fidgeting with it, and he's just in his hands, and he's still talking to her. And I'm looking at them, and I'm like, I don't know what got over in my head. I just saw myself reaching my hand, taking the thing, opening it up for him, and giving it back to him. And he looks at me, and he continues talking to the lady. And as I took whatever I had bought and I was leaving, I was like, what the actual F did I just do? Because seriously, what was that? Who does that? What? I'm a person who minds my own business. I could be walking by the roadside. People are fighting. I will cross over to the other side and continue walking. I do not stop. I say to people surrounding a place, whatever it is they are buying, whatever it is that is going on in the middle, I do not want to see it. I don't care. Unless it involves me personally, I'm not interested. I mind my own business. I cross the road, I go to the other side, I continue walking. Earphones on. If the volume was low, I add the volume just so that nobody can say, even that one was there. I mind my own business. But this day, I don't know. Maybe I was too tired, and maybe I don't know, he was upsetting me with the way he was fidgeting with the thing, or I don't know. I don't know what I was doing. So that moment keeps replaying in my mind. I continuously think about it and what I was thinking, just asking myself, like, what were you thinking? What the actual F, like, what were you thinking doing that? Who does that? I could be asleep and then I just wake up. And that is what has woken me up. Because I'm thinking of that one moment that I did something stupid. Maybe it was helpful. Maybe he didn't know how to open it. But either way, it was not my, my place to do that. I shouldn't have done it like at all. And now I don't know what they were left behind talking about. Maybe he was like, who is that? Do you know that girl? Like, why did she do this? Ni udaku gani? And these are people who see me constantly walking on this road. So maybe he sees me and he laughs and goes like, you should remember, you see that girl? She did this and this and this. So yeah. That is my overthinking. I think about what I did. I think about the different scenarios that might have happened since that happened. So, yeah, the different ways they might have described me, the way they laugh at me whenever they see me. So, yeah, overthinking is not fun, but it happens. So, those are the most recent ones. But, yeah, those are major things, major moments, I should say, that I usually go back to, and I'm like, what was I have to get them off my head. Like, I just have to remind myself, you don't have to think about this moment. It already happened. Move on. Just like move on. Another thing that happened recently is that I was on Instagram, and this one is going to be terrible for people who have imaginative brains like mine. It's going to be terrible for you. So I was on Instagram, and I don't know why I clicked on this particular video, but I did. It was a reel on Instagram, and a lady had shared something that actually freaked me out. So there's this disease, I think it's a cancer that attacks the gums, or I don't know, the jaw. I'm not so sure what it was exactly. But then you start growing like hair inside your mouth on your gums, or or something like that. You start growing, it attacks your either your gums or your jaw, and you start growing hair on your gums, like inside your mouth. And so you have to go undergo surgery. That entire thing has to be removed and stuff like that. You undergo reconstructive surgery and stuff. Now when I watched it, I was just like, oh my god, I shouldn't have watched that. And then I left it alone. Believe you me, I went to sleep that night. I'm hardly attacked by, like such kinds of nightmares, like things that I see on TV and stuff. But because I usually never watch them, I'm not a fan of horror movies. I don't do horror movies because I know my mind and the tricks it will play on me. But this day, that's why I don't know why I opened it. I don't know. So I go to sleep. I'm thinking about it. I tried to remove it off my mind during the day because whenever I would think about it, I would be like, no, don't do it. I'll shake it off. So going to bed, trying to close my eyes, I constantly saw that picture, and I would, I would just like shake it off and pray to God, like, just give me sleep, let me sleep so that I don't think about it. And I did. Now, waking up in the morning, I woke up and went to use the bathroom, then came back to bed, and I couldn't sleep because it was at 4 a.m. I kept thinking, I kept seeing that photo, I kept hearing that lady talk, I kept just imagining it and thinking over it. Oh, my mind, the tricks that it played on me that day, I kept overthinking about it, just constantly going over and over and over that particular video. And it freaked me out. I don't remember how I went back to sleep, but luckily I did. And I didn't have to see that image again because, yo. So anyway, when I'm awake and it comes back, I usually shake it off. But when I'm trying to sleep, when I'm trying to silence my mind to sleep, and something plays over and over again, especially that particular video, I could never unsee it. And I don't know why, because I'm constantly trying to avoid such things. So I don't know what made me open it. And when I did and realized what it was, I don't know why I continued watching it. So yeah, my overthinking mind, it's just crazy sometimes. And I don't know. I don't know. But those are the negative sides, I think. Even though I said I don't want to make a pros and cons list, but I think those are the negative sides. The positive sides is that I can always almost tell when somebody's lying to me. Because whatever you're telling me when I'm talking to you, I'll mull over it in my mind. I'll go over it over and over and over again, especially if I like you. Like, let's say if I have a crush on somebody and I've met them and we're talking, every single word you say, it clicks. If I'm looking at you, I'm reading your face. I'm reading every control and anything that your face does, your eyes, your face, every facial expression. I'm looking at it and I'm listening to every word you're saying. And when I go away, apart from you, like I'm no longer with you, when I'm by myself, I go back to that conversation and I see you. I see your face. Everything you are doing, how your lips moved, how your eyes moved, how your face, everything. And I hear your words and I will think about them over and over again. I will dissect everything you are saying just to get to the point. Was this person telling me the truth or were they lying? I don't even like, it's not something that I actively do because I'm not like sitting down and being like, yeah, let me now go back to that. No, no, no. It will be like, even if it's not at home, I'll be in a matatu, earphones on, I look outside the window, that conversation will come back. And I'll start thinking about it. And I'll dissect everything you said. So if you like, by the time I'm done with my overthinking, I already know if you're a liar or if you're telling me the truth. And if I realize that you're a liar, I won't try and goad you to lie. I'll just be like, okay, I know this person is a liar, but I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt. So let's see what he's going to do, you know? And the more you talk to me, the more I go back to the previous feeling I had, the more I continue, reading between the lines and everything. And eventually I'll realize, yeah, this one, no. And then I go to God and I pray. This person, if they're not meant to be my friend, if they're not meant to be my, more than a friend, keep them out of my life. Send them away. Wherever they came from, send back to, send back to sender. I don't want them. I don't want them in my life because they are lying and I don't need lies in my life. So send them back. Send them back to wherever they came from. And somehow God usually makes sure that they have just left my life. Because I don't need all that nonsense. I don't need all the negativity and all the lies and all those things. I just don't need them. I need peace. So, yeah, I think that's a pro where I almost can tell if somebody is lying to me, which is a very, very good thing to have as a person. So, overthinking can help you with that. Another thing that also helps is like, before you start arguing with me, know that I've won. Even if I give you the ultimate, like, even if I give you the feeling that you have won at the end of our conversation, at the end of our argument, just know that I already won. I didn't win the particular argument, but I already won in the sense that that scenario, it already played in my mind and I saw it ending that way. Because this is the thing. Before I start a conversation with you on the phone, before I start a conversation with you on, like, if I approach you and start talking to you, especially if I was standing beside you for a while or away from you and looking at you, contemplating talking to you, best believe I've thought about that conversation. I've thought about how I said hi, the response you gave, what I wanted to say, and various ways you answered, and how that conversation continued depending on the answer that you gave me. So, however you think to respond to me, best believe I have a version of that story already playing in my mind or already played in my mind. Yeah. And if it's an argument, you have done something and I thought about it and I was like, oh, so and so has insulted me or so and so has done this, which is against what I expected them to do. So before I come to you to argue or to ask you, because I'm not coming to you picking a fight, I'm coming to tell you, you did this and it was wrong. You said this and I did not like it. So I've already thought about this particular conversation in my mind. I thought about what I'd say, what you responded, however you try to respond. I've thought about it, how I would respond back to you depending on what you said and how that developed. So when I come to you and we start arguing, even if you prove that I'm the one who's on the wrong, I've still won because, yeah, I already knew you were going to say that. I already knew that that's how you would win. So, yeah, it's not so special. So, yeah, don't be so happy about it. But either way, if I've won in all aspects, like I've won the argument, that is even better because now I've won the argument and I knew I was going to win it. So, yeah, it's like double trophies. So it's like double congratulations to me for doing that. But yeah, so overthinking can be good, it can also be bad depending on the situation and depending on the person and depending on your surrounding as well, I think. But for me, it has worked for the better sometimes, but also it has been the source of my anxiety Because when I'm trying, let's say, to apply for a job, that is one of the moments that overthinking is just not right. So nowadays I just go like, no matter what, I'm leaving it to God. I'm going to go for that interview and I'm leaving it to God. Whatever they ask me, I do not care. I'll answer what I know. What I do not know, I'll wing it. If I don't get it, sorry. If I don't get it, then I just move on, you know? Because what can I do? What can I say? There's just so much you can do when you're going to an interview. You can prepare, but still get there and be surprised by one particular thing. But just the process of applying for a job, you try to apply for a job and you are there applying, and then it doesn't work. It just doesn't. And sometimes you apply and you're called for an interview, and my mind just starts overthinking. I go on a very, I don't know, like it's just a dangerous place to be at, because I'm there and thinking about, okay, so what if I go into the room and it's a panel, and the panel, how many people are going to be in it? Will there be a woman? Will it just be men? Will they be kind? Will they be fair? Will I be able to remember to answer these questions? Whatever I've studied, am I going to be able to remember? You know? And will I remember even the company that I applied to in the first place? Because sometimes you apply to a company, they call you for the interview and don't even remember what it's about, like the company itself is about. And all these things starts playing in my mind. And then I get there and you are sat outside there waiting for your turn and your stomach is churning and I don't know. It's just, whoa. Sometimes overthinking can be so bad because if it becomes too much, it causes anxiety. And then now it's not just something you can just push away that easily. Because anxiety, anybody who has ever had anxiety, it can get like 0 to 100 very, very quickly. I'm just glad that mine has never been that bad. I've never had such a huge case of anxiety, but either way, no matter what, any level of anxiety is bad. It's terrible because it's just not good for the nervous system. But yeah, apply for a job, something I've been doing for the past, I don't know, 3 years, even more, I think. And just thinking, will they accept me? Will they see my CV? And sometimes people tell you, like, just fib a little bit on the CV, and then you do, and then you are like, oh my God, what if they call me for the interview and they realize that I fibbed on that particular thing? What will they do? Will they call the police? Will they take it as fraud? Will they take it as this? Oh my God, my mind takes me on a on a terrible, terrible ride sometimes, which is crazy. So yeah, I mean, overthinking, it has its benefits definitely, but most of it, I think, it's usually negatives. It's only good when you're trying to get to know people, when you're trying to, you know, I don't know what else to say. I think it's just when you're trying to get ahead of a situation. Those are the only times it can be good. But then you have to remind yourself that all these scenarios that you have created, they're just in your mind. You might create all these scenarios, but when you go to the actual thing, it doesn't work in any way that you thought about. Okay? You could have thought about 10 different ways that the scenario could play out, but then God decides to give you a number 11. And you're like, oh, okay. I didn't see that one coming, but yeah, I think it's good. It's okay. I'm okay with this one. So, yeah. So I think I'm going to end there. And because there are very many other scenarios that I've endured with my overthinking, but I just can't seem to remember them all right now. But yeah, as we go, I'll share more, but I'm sure others will just come up because they just come every other time. I may just be seated and I remember something that I shouldn't be remembering, and I start going over it over and over again, wondering why I did it, asking myself questions, being disappointed with myself, crying sometimes, blaming the world, blaming myself. and all of these things. It's just not a happy trip. As I said, it can be very, very bad sometimes, but I'm sure I'm not alone. So if you also overthink, please comment down below. Tell me, tell us, let us read, let us laugh, let us cry together, let us understand, and just know that we're not alone in the things that we experience. So while you're doing that, please remember to like, share, and subscribe, and click on the bell button for notifications, so that whenever I upload a new show, you can be able to be there and listen to my musings. And yeah, we're going to be okay and happy. Again, thank you for everyone who has already subscribed. I'm very, very grateful to you guys. Continue being there for me. And yeah, I'll try my best to continue giving you content. Okay, bye bye now. Love you.